I wake up every day thinking about the risks. And as I've said, the three risks, I don't think Mexico has a political risk in a sense that things could be nationalized. I think Mexico has learned that that's not the way to grow a country. And being the US the most important partner for.
Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We're here at the 2025 Rule Symposium in Boca Raton, and I am here with Luca Mining, Javier Reyes. Javier, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
Yes, pleasure's all on this side of the table, sir. Okay, Luca Mining down in Mexico. Just quick overview: market cap, cash, and debt.
So as of today, we have a market cap over 400 million Canadian dollars.
Okay.
The debt is around 7.7. The cash is over 20 million US dollars in the bank.
Okay.
And if I may say, I would really like to compare these numbers to where we were 5 years ago. When I put the deal together, we had over $50 million of debt, no cash in the balance sheet, and a market cap of maybe 30, 40 million Canadian dollars.
Wow.
So along the way, these last 5 years, we tried to deliver on all promises we've given to investors and different stakeholders. And I'm proud to say that we finally got there. We basically have no debt because we could easily pay the debt with the cash we have on the balance sheet. And now we're putting money every single month into the company.
Okay, why is it that if you have more cash than debt, why don't you pay it off?
Well, first of all, because the debt is very inexpensive.
Okay.
So the only way you would pay 100% of your debt, knowing that you have the cash to pay it, if you don't have a better use of your money.
Yeah.
So now that we have lots of different ways of increasing shareholder value, we just need to balance between paying the debt, which is maybe $700,000 a month, to basically deploying the cash in ways that can increase shareholder value in a meaningful way.
Okay. And what percentage is the debt?
So
the
the
interest
debt
rate?
is SOFR plus a few points. So it nowadays should be 8%.
Okay. All right. You might be beating inflation anyways in that. Okay. What market cap, cash, and debt? Tell us, give us your elevator pitch. Tell us about your projects down in Mexico. What you're looking for. Give us the overview.
Well, let me just, if I may say, give little a background on myself. So I've been doing mining for 27 years, and in a very humble way, Steve, I would say that my biggest assets have been my mistakes. This is a very complex industry, as you probably know, where intentionally or unintentionally, investors are frequently taken for a ride. No? It's an industry full of undelivered promises for many reasons, but it's very complex and it's a sophisticated industry that requires many different skills. And as I've said, after 27 years of doing the same, what we wanted to do and been taken for a ride enough times, we wanted to do something different. And that requires the right opportunity and the right skills. So I would say that we have two amazing assets. First, of course, our own mistakes, and second, we have an incredible team. We have an exceptional team. We are one of the best Mexican teams that runs under North American standards, which means that we have incredible Mexicans and incredible expats that helps that is the perfect formula to succeed because you require different skills. You need Mexicans, but also you need other skills that we don't have as Mexicans, and you need to be humble to combine all resources. No, so it requires a humble exercise to make it happen. So the proposition was, we of course believe 5 6 years ago that we could potentially live one of the best future bull markets. So what we were looking for, because as you know, as an investor, by the time you explore and find a very good deposit, you get the deposit permitted, and you build the mine, which requires hundreds of millions of dollars of investment. Most of the investors lose everything. No? So having said that, what we were looking for was an incredible asset, fully permitted, with all the capex in place or most of the capex in place, and that it was in Mexico because a Mexican, most of the team is Mexican. This is a Mexican company, again, with an incredible board that is combined between Mexicans and non-Mexicans that comes from the most important companies in the world. And Dan, and now Dan, which is our CEO, is a very prominent banker, very smart, that has a skin in the game, that has bought a few $1 million of shares, that has helped us now share the story in a very incredible way. So he's been a very successful leader for Luca that in combination with our commitment as shareholders and all the in-country talent that we have, uh, I think we have managed to be successful because when we decided to take this incredible opportunity that was a big asset permitted with all the capex, it's not just buying for cents on a dollar an asset. You need to have the skills to turn it around. And as I've said, Mexico is a blessed country, natural resource wise, but it's complex in many things. No, I mean you probably hear lots of things about us in the news, and all those things can be reasonably true, but you have to manage the things. And just a group of Mexicans that understands the culture, and I come from a poor background, so you understand how it feels and what they expect from you. So as long as you have very happy, committed employees that they believe in their hearts that you care about them, they will be on your side.
Yep.
So all these questions that you might ask and people ask me about security, possibilities of permitting, it's about people. If the people are on your side, they will make sure you don't get hit. They will make sure that the permits, because they will be pushing politicians for us to get permits and continue developing. Because unfortunately, where we operate high in the mountains, again in a difficult country like Mexico, these beautiful Mexicans, they have very few options. Either they work for us, they migrate to other countries, in example the US, or maybe they are tempted to work in the organized with the organized crime. And kids are not born, they don't want to be bad people. It's just the circumstances that force them into things that they didn't want to do. But when you are a committed businessman and you have all these guys on your side, truthfully on your side, no, and that's why we go to the mine sites and I have lunch with them and I spend a lot of time with them because I truly care in my heart about them. And this time I wanted to capitalize 27 years of my experience, which of course is full of mistakes, no? And I put the name of my daughters. So this company is called Luca Mining, and my two most important treasures is Luciana and Camila, which are my daughters, and that's why it's called Luca. And the largest shareholder is Calo, which is an entity related to us. So you have committed shareholders. Over 50% of the shares of the company are between friends and family.
Okay.
No, and at the end, it's about the skin in the game. When business fail or succeed is because you have or you don't have a skin in the game. Because I wake up at the middle of the night thinking about either a risk, a potential risk, or what things I should do different so that the company succeeds. No? I think I went beyond your question, but I wanted to share my.
Yeah, well, that was emotional and heartfelt, and you answered some of the ones that I have coming on later on. Okay, so you have 27 years in the business in mining in Mexico. You've built a team around that. You're in a region that is people are essentially have three foreseeable options. One is to leave, the other is to work for you or an entity like you, and the other is to join organized crime. And that's pretty down and dirty to it. But I like what you're doing, and I like that you're giving them that opportunity. That's pretty cool. Um, what experience do you and your team have? In what similarities are there in this mine that you have had in the past?
So, as I said, the most important asset after our experience is the team. So, to build an operation like the one we have,
Yeah.
it requires lots of different skills. You have to have, of course, mining engineers, geologists, community relations, a great team, of course, in Canada that we can share the story with with people like the one we have here in the Rule conference, and you have to have the skills to deal with politicians, with all the different kinds of stakeholders. We have, I mean, very sophisticated security protocols,
Yeah.
no? And depending on the region where you operate, there's some unwritten rules that you only learn as a local, and you learn, of course, as you make mistakes. So the skills. I mean, we have over 700 employees working in the organization, and of course the ability to manage all these different talents. And as I tell the team, we don't have to have the best people, we just need to have the right people. Because having the best, if we don't learn to work as a team, make that skill not being useful, no?
Yeah.
So I think for the size of a company we are, we should produce this year between 80 to 100,000 ounces of gold. We have the skills required to maybe double in size, and go and take other opportunities that have similarities that the ones I'm describing. So as I said, we're just looking for good assets that have been mismanaged, and that requires a committed Mexican team that knows how to turn them around. Because as you know, Mexico has not been the best jurisdiction for the last years. But I think things have changed in a very good way for many reasons. First, because we learn that as a country, we need the private sector to invest and to succeed as a country. Second, of course, Trump has been very helpful in pushing Mexico to do the right thing, because we have a lot of pressure from the US to do the right thing, to have rule of law, to work around the security issues we have as a country, to work around migration. And also Mexico is the most important trading partner for the US. Mexico, both ways, imports and exports, is the most important trading partner and country for the Americans. So as I say, we're close from heaven, no? And we're one of the richest natural resource countries. And as I say, as a joke, I think when God was like building the world, he he gave Mexico one of the most amazing natural resource assets. But then probably he said, it can be perfect, so let's put Mexicans, no? And we just have to realize as Mexicans that sometimes we don't do the things the way we should, and that's why our role as leaders is we have amazing skills as Mexicans, but for the ones we don't have, we need to bring people that help us do it better. That's why I say we have the best Mexican team that runs under North American standards, because you have to do it as Mexican, but also you have to know that you are a publicly traded company, that you have to have the corporate governance of any other North American company. And I think, even though I'm biased in my comment because it's our baby, I think there's very few companies that are run in the way we are run, that we can try to take care of every single angle of potential risk of the business.
Okay. So you guys are familiar with the mining in Mexico, the politics that come with that, integrating with expats. What is there any similarities in geology? So you're in high altitude terrain. What mining experience, like when it comes to geology, have you guys done before that is similar to what you're doing now?
So most of the last 2 decades, we've been doing open pit and underground mining.
Okay.
So it's very similar. We've been mostly in Guerrero and Durango, where Luca is, and
Yeah.
we've been also in Sonora and Oaxaca.
Okay.
And most of the operations that we run are very similar. They require the same skills, similar terrains, similar political challenges, community challenges. So we are a group, not just ourselves as a team, the contractors that we use are familiar with the conditions under the ones we have to operate. So one of the largest contractors in the country and in Latin America, the underground developers, those are underground for Luca. And of course, they have the skills, not just the technical skills. They have the skills also because we have to host their teams in our operations, and they need to have the skills as well to deal with the communities, to deal with the because they hire local people and they have to have the same skills we have to bring the communities on our side, to deal with unions. So 27 years of being on the buy side and now mostly of doing our own operations and learning from the mistakes, uh, you know how to at least reduce the risk, because we always, of course, we continue to make mistakes, but now the mistakes we make are smaller to the ones we used to make in the past because the team has learned to do it differently. So I would say that as a company, the risks, I would summarize the risk we have because we are a cash flowing mining company with a lot of exploration upside, with a very clean balance sheet nowadays after 5, 6 years of this journey. So the remaining risk, I would say that as long as we open the doors to mine every single day of our lives, the company will succeed. So then the question is what we need to do so that we can mine every single day. So there's basically three things. First, that we don't have any issues with the communities. So we have to have a we have to really take care of our people and our communities. Second, if we have a human accident. So now there's no day that we don't focus in how to make the mine safer. And third, an environmental accident. So as long as we have good community protocols of health and safety and we take care of the environment, those mines will operate every single day in a successful way.
Okay. Um, on to the next part. Insider ownership. You touched on this. Maybe go a little bit more into it. What vested partners? Who owns your company? How much is available to retail?
So as I've said, just putting everything in one category between insiders and close friends and family, I would say that there's over 50% of the shares outstanding that are in super, super tight hands,
Yeah.
which includes, of course, ourselves as a family,
Yeah.
very close friends and family, and management. The CEO, as I said, has a few $1 million invested in the company, which means that maybe 30% of the shares are floating.
Okay.
For retail.
Okay.
And institutions, which is the opportunity going forward for us, maybe we have 6% of the outstanding shares into institutional hands, which means that there's a lot of upside for the share price to re-rate because as institutions require market cap and liquidity.
Yeah.
So last year that we came here, maybe we were trading 300,000-400,000 shares a day. Now most of the days we do over 2 or 3 million shares in the two markets, Canada and the US.
Okay.
And we have a much higher market cap. So now the institutions, the things that they can potentially require, which is of course a good opportunity with market cap and liquidity, it's there.
Yeah.
We were recently included in the most important copper ETF, even though we only produce 25% of the revenues related to copper. And as we continue to get more institutional investors, it means that they will own us. And since it's very tightly held, the shares are tightly held, as they continue to accumulate, hopefully will be translated in a share increase.
Okay, so 30% is available to retail, 50% is pretty much held by insiders, 6% institutions. You said the CEO owns several $1 million worth of shares, so that would put him at about 1% of the company.
Yeah, he should have $3 million worth of shares.
Okay.
So that means he's at 1%,
Yeah.
based on our more or less 1% at our existing market cap.
Okay.
So for us, it was super important that the leaders, and of course he's the leader of the company, being the CEO, has a skin in the game.
Of course.
So what is very different to many companies that you might know is that the skin in the game forces everybody to do everything we can for all shareholders, not just ourselves.
Yeah. And how much do you and your family own?
So the different, I would say, trusts and vehicles, it's over 20%.
Oh, really? Okay. So you were very invested in
Yeah,
what?
as I said, I not only have the skin in the game, but a few other parts of my body.
Yeah, your entire life and family and everything. Okay. All right. We're talking to the right man. All right. As far as commodity breakdown, so you already gave copper is about 25%. So you're going for gold, silver, copper, lead, and zinc, correct?
So a very important part of the thesis was that we wanted to have naturally hedge, because precious metals and base metals, they not always go in the same direction.
True.
Fortunately, it has happened the last few months, but it's not always the case. So I would say 50% is base metals, and then the other 50% is gold and silver. Gold being maybe in the 30%,
Okay.
and silver being in the 17s, depending on the price. So this is a revenue split. So again, maybe 50% copper gold and 30 something percent gold and 16, 17% silver.
Okay. And what about lead and zinc?
So on the 50% base metals is 25% zinc, more or less 25% copper,
Okay.
and lead should be 4 or 5%.
Okay, just a tiny bit of lead.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys have a lot of zinc.
Yeah. So this asset used to be one of the most amazing zinc assets in the country.
Huh.
So the original owners, they were very focused on the zinc side, and since it was so rich in zinc, they didn't they didn't grow it optimizing for precious metals. No?
Yeah.
So we have two assets. Campo Morado was mostly a zinc mine,
Yeah.
and Tahuehueto, which is a brand new mine that we commissioned in Q1, it's mostly a gold mine that has also as well zinc. But now we have double recoveries for copper. We have increased meaningfully recoveries for gold. We have increased recoveries as well for zinc. And now the new drill result that we announced on Monday. So we are doing, let's say, 1 point something grams per ton on gold, just focusing on the gold. The new drill hole that we announced on Monday was over 5% grams of gold.
Oh.
So now we are trying to tactically develop our assets. So now that we are cash flowing, that we have paid most of our debt, and we are just adding cash to the balance sheet every single month, now we can tactically develop the asset and explore the assets we didn't explore for over 10 years. So now we are exploring and optimizing and tactically develop so we can eventually get to the market that we would like to grow beyond 100,000 ounces, which is the target for the next 12 months.
Yeah, 80 to 100,000 ounces. Okay, let's talk about your two mines. You got Campo Morado, and how do you pronounce the next one?
Campo Morado and Tahuehueto.
Tahuehueto.
So Tahuehueto is the brand new gold mine,
Yeah.
which is a vein. It's a typical vein system for Mexico, and it's again, as I said, it's mostly a gold mine. And Campo Morado, it's a BMS deposit, which is different to a vein system, and it's a polymetallic asset, which, as I said, it's mostly copper, zinc, and copper, and it also has big components of gold and silver, but it has all the metals that we like.
Okay, are they both producing?
They are both producing. They are now both at full capacity. In Tahuehueto, we do 1,000 tons per day. The plant capacity is 1,000 tons per day with more or less 80% availability. In Campo Morado is maybe 2,400 tons per day. It's a bigger plant. So now both plants are topping their capacity, and now we're just in fine tuning, optimizing more.
Okay, okay. So VMS deposit, a vein system. They're both producing. It sounds like one's a little more base metals, the other one's more gold.
Yeah, Campo Morado is more polymetallic, more base metals, and Tahuehueto is more gold.
More gold. Okay. All right. And what is okay? We got insider ownership. Size of the prize. So proven, probable, measured, indicated, inferred. What? Let's start with Campo Morado.
So I guess to make it very simple to your audience,
Mhm.
if I may say, we have over 2 million ounces in gold equivalent because I said it's a polymetallic asset. So we don't combine tons with everything with ounces, and it's simple for investors. We have 2 point something million ounces of gold.
Okay.
So now the goal is, because for us to increase the throughput, to increase the ounces produced, there's basically, as a company, there's three possibilities. One is organically, so basically we increase the tonnage in the mines, we increase the grades and the recoveries, or we go through M&A opportunities. So as I've said, we're doing everything at the same time. We are exploring to increase the grades, and we are optimizing the plans to increase recoveries, and we are analyzing how we increase throughputs.
Okay.
Campo Morado has a very incredible footprint. It's a big plant with a big footprint, with a big camp. Campo Morado, Tahuehueto is more limited, is more remote, is smaller. So we have a lot of different strategies to grow, and we just as we speak, we are pursuing different other inorganic opportunities, which means M&A opportunities, and we will just pursue the one that brings the more shareholder value with the least risk. But we might be able to do a little bit of both: make an acquisition and increase organically into 2026 our own ounces produced.
Okay, so 2 million ounces of gold. What that was just Morado, or was that both of them
That
combined?
both of them combined is like 2.4 million ounces of gold.
2.4 million, and is that gold equivalent or
It's
is it?
gold equivalent.
Okay,
So in
okay,
Campo Morado we have 16 million tons of material left, which it's a lot.
yeah,
But now I think we are just, again, as I was saying, we need to tactically develop so we can feed our plants, because we do concentrate. So we need to feed our plants with a concentrate that will maximize our value.
yeah. Okay, all right. So 2.4 million ounces of gold equivalent, and when I look through, bear with me 1 second here. Okay, so you're saying the size of Campo. I've got 12,000 hectares. Does that sound about
Yes,
right?
that
Yeah,
sounds
that's
very
right.
right.
Okay. All right. So to put that in for our gringo audience is about 30,000 acres or 46 square miles. So it's a big one. What you're calling a small one, the T mine, how do you pronounce it?
Tahuehueto.
Tahuehueto is 7,500
Yes,
hectares. That's right.
yes, sir.
Okay. That is 18,500 acres or 29 square miles. Okay, so that's the small one. Okay,
Yeah, it's a very big land package, and we have barely probably explored below 10% of the full package.
okay,
And that's for two reasons. First is because we already had big deposits, so we didn't have to make them bigger back in the days when we started putting the opportunity together. And the other very important reason is because we didn't have any money, any spare money to allocate for exploration. So first we didn't need, but also even if we wanted, we didn't have spare cash. The difference now is that, as we proved on Monday when we announced a very good drill result, the market rewarded us for the new exploration, the future exploration, in a very meaningful way. Because the way the market reads this is they are a producing company, of course, which means we have all the permits, all the infrastructure required to continue cash flowing. And for every new ounce that you bring to the company, you get rewarded in a very big way, especially if it's something like the thing we announced on Monday. So now, and the market has changed. So 5 6 years ago, that the market was in full depression, the market was not. They didn't care if you add more ounces. They care more about cash flow. So now that we have cash flow and the market has changed in a meaningful way, cash flow with a blue sky, with a very powerful exploration future, should be rewarded in an incredible way compared to other companies.
okay. Um, on to principal risks. You touched on them before. What's the biggest unanswered question facing Luca Mining today?
Honestly, I wake up every day thinking about the risks, and and as I've said, the three risks. I don't think Mexico has a political risk in a sense that things could be nationalized. I think Mexico has learned that that's not the way to grow a country, and being the U.S. the most important partner for us puts that risk at close to zero. No, and every single investment that goes into the country is governed by the North America Free Trade Agreement, which in the worst case you get indemnified. So, but I think that risk we can put it to zero. But then the other risks that that I always get asked is, of course, the cartels, as an example. No,
Okay.
and as I've said, when you have beautiful woman working for the company, that prevents most of those risks from happening. The reason being is because when you have happy, beautiful woman working for the company, they will make sure that the message is sent to these guys that they bother other companies or other mining companies.
They leave you alone.
They leave me alone. They go because at the end it's about people, no? And people don't understand, or the way we understand how to deal with these circumstances is different because we are Mexicans. In my case, uh, I managed to be successful because I had a spectacular mother that managed to help us grow as a family, no? And that's the most important sell in Mexico are women, no? And it's different to other countries, no? And then, as I said, the environment and the and health and safety is key because, of course, if there's a bad accident, then the mines will be shut down. If there's an accident like what we have experienced in other companies, that there's a tailings accident, then you will be shut down probably forever, no?
Yeah.
So then you reinforce the tailings, you do a stability test to make sure that you are prepared for big floods, for hurricanes. Mexico has hurricanes. We have earthquakes. So you now that we have a spare cash, we can triple invest in those things that we couldn't do years ago. No?
Okay. So three risks as you see it. One is Mexico nationalization. We'll put that as hopefully, I'll say a little above zero. You'll call it zero. Okay. The cartels, and this is where it comes into understanding your culture and why I personally believe it's so important to have people on the ground that were born there, that understand the culture, running the place, which you do, and you found a way to do this is to put beautiful women in there, and the cartels seem to leave you alone a little bit more than otherwise. And environmental. Mining is dangerous. Mining is hard, and especially doing it at high altitude is can be difficult. Safety is a priority. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Anything I should have asked that I didn't? Closing thoughts?
No, well, thank you for having me in your show, and I would say that I am always available. If there's any question, they can reach out directly to me.
Okay.
They can reach out to Dan or any other uh, person in the company. We are an open book. We are Everybody's welcome in the operations, and the best way to prove that what we are saying is true is that sometimes you take the time to visit us, and then you'll see happy people, safety as a priority, well-run operations, and that we run them in a peaceful way. Sometimes analysts or bankers that visit our property, of course, they ask, "Is it safe to go there?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, let's go." No, because if I go, I wouldn't be risking my life. No, if I go and if I take my kids, my little ones, I have one 10-year-old Luciana, that's why it's Luca, and twins 7 years old, Javi, like me, and Cami. I wouldn't be taking my kids if it was not safe. So I welcome everybody to visit us, and it's the easiest way to learn how mining is done.
Okay. If our viewers want to get a hold of you and find out more about
Yeah,
Luca
my
Mining,
email is J Reyes, Reyes, at lucamining.com.
jreyes at lucamining.com.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the correct answer. You contact the man himself. Javier, thank you very
Thank you,
much
Steve.
for
Thank
coming
you for
on the
having
show.
me.
You're welcome. You're welcome, sir. And thank you for tuning in. Go to stevebartonmoney.com for more and have a wonderful day.